All right, welcome back to another episode of Just Buy Less Coffee, answering the deeper questions of American politics. My name is Troy, aka Keep Troy Blue. With me, as always, is Cathy Cannon, aka Cannon's fodder. Cannon, the 2024 presidential election is 2 weeks away, give or
I
take. It
know.
is crunch time. Early voting is on in most states. It is time to vote. Really, like, just early voting numbers have broken records so far from what I can see, from what's being reported
Yeah.
in some of these swing
Yeah.
states.
Well, Georgia
Have you voted?
especially. That's
Yeah, Georgia was huge.
yeah.
Have you voted early? How's that work in Florida?
Early voting starts tomorrow in Florida. It runs.
Okay.
It's different county by county, which I think is true in every state. But most counties run through at least November 2nd. Some will go into November 3rd. Like that like some only go to Saturday. Some will give you the extra Sunday. I think like
Okay.
Orange County closes November 2nd, but I think Polk County, which is like a Lakeland area, goes to November 3rd. And I think I feel like the South Florida, Miami-Dade counties do that too, but I'd have to like check county by county. But for the most part, until November 2nd, 3rd-ish.
Okay. Yeah. So check. Make sure you're registered to vote. Make sure you're voting. If you haven't signed up for early voting, make sure you show up on election day to the polls. We need every single vote. This is crunch time. It's crucial.
Crunch time,
I voted.
crunch
I
time.
voted overseas, which was really fun. I got my vote
Oh
in.
yeah, how'd that
So
work?
it was cool. You just have to go through a thing and sign up on a website, and they send you your what your local ballot would be, and then I just emailed it back. And
That
they
is
said they got it, so it's cool because I
cool.
vote in Arizona, so it's like pretty cool to get that in.
So when we watch the results come in, you'll be those international votes that get counted last.
It depends on the
Which
state. I think Arizona's okay. Pennsylvania is one of those ones where like they don't even they don't even open the early voting until like the very end on election night. So
yeah, Florida actually starts counting their votes in real time because like after the 2000 election debacle, all that crap.
oh yeah.
They like one thing I will give Florida is because we screwed up so epically in 2000, we've gotten pretty good about keeping our votes counted.
Now you guys got it together because you had to
Yeah, so usually
shit
we
show.
know we'll know the results of Florida within an hour or two of the polls closing just because they've been counting in real time all day,
Yeah.
plus all the early votes will be counted before election day, which means like you can look at the
Right.
Florida returns going into election day, and if you're a Republican and or a Democrat, you can be like, well, fuck, we better go. Like election day is literally the tiebreaker in Florida.
I think Arizona counts as they come in too. Pennsylvania is the big one, and there's another one too where the Republicans have basically, in service of Trump, basically said that you cannot even open a mail-in ballot envelope until polls close on election day, and it's just to delay the process to create chaos. Because what's going to happen is Pennsylvania is the key state. What's going to happen is Trump is going to be up in Pennsylvania. He's going to be leading because he's going to be leading with the same day vote count. As soon as he's got a decent lead in that same day, he's going to declare victory in Pennsylvania and try to muddy up everything when they still have all of the mail-in vote to count to remain, which will probably swing to Harris. So keep an eye on that. That's going to be one of his big clusterfuck moves.
Probably, but I also like a lot of the I feel like they've given up on Pennsylvania. Like I know a couple weeks ago they put all of their resources into it, but I feel like they've pulled back out.
They're kind of shutting down their campaign because Trump, we'll get into this in a little bit, but Trump is completely exhausted and can't campaign anymore.
Yeah.
So they're basically sort of wrapping it up.
I know, but I looked at the polling map on 270, and we'll get into this later as well because I have theories on the polling for a lot of reasons, as we know if we've been talking to me a lot. But I just pulled up as of like today the reason I know Trump is going to lose, and I feel like I can say that safely now, is because like even if the numbers are close and within the margin of error, it's the trajectories are always what matter in polling, right? And solid red Republican states, reliably Republican states, are polling better for her. You know what I mean? Like he's losing ground and she's gaining ground. So even if she's still behind, finger quote, in those states, he's lost a lot of ground, right? Like as of this minute right now, what we would have considered solidly red states in June are leaning so they're pink, not red, right?
Right.
And those states are Alaska, Texas, Florida, Iowa, and Ohio. And I'd like to point to Ohio, especially because that is the state where J.D. Vance is the sitting senator, and he is a vice presidential candidate on the ballot. So to be losing ground in the two home states of your ticket, both Ohio and Florida, if I were the Trump campaign, I'd be panicked.
Well, okay, so tell me about Florida, though. So you think it's the abortion amendment that's driving people out? Do you really think Florida's in play? I mean,
I do think Florida.
It's the abortion stuff. I mean, it's a lot of things. It's Trump completely coming unhinged, but this abortion stuff is really driving people out.
It's pot too, and it's Rick Scott.
Oh yeah, you have pot and abortion at the same time.
We have recreational marijuana, legalizing abortion, and voting against Rick Scott all on our ballot right now.
That'll get people out for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the thing. And like Rick Scott probably would have walked back easily to re-election because Florida voters are Florida voters, but he's not very well liked. And add to that people are like motivated to go. So, and then add to that the fact that he's running against a Latina woman. I feel like I just pulled up the Senate polls. RMG Research, right-wing group, right?
RMG?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Maybe.
Napoleon News Services. I just pulled up
Rasmussen is.
Oh no, everybody knows Rasmussen is, but a new poll just dropped Friday from them that puts Scott up at 52 plus 8 on Murcarsel Powell, and University of Texas similarly putting Cruz up 7 on Allred, when every other poll, Morning Consult, only has Cruz up by 1. Hold on, I saw
Cruz is going to get his ass kicked. I think he's circling the drain. Allred has been killing it. We don't really have it we don't really have time to discuss it today, but they had they had their debate. Cruz was awful in that debate. And they're just neck and neck now. I don't know. I don't think Texas is going to go blue, but I think Cruz might be in trouble.
But I think Cruz might lose. Yeah, I don't think Kamala will carry Texas, but I think Allred will. But then again, if Allred, because he's a black senator, right? So I don't know.
Does he have crossover appeal though? I mean, would Republicans vote for him? I know we were talking about how he's come out kind of moderate.
Well, he's a football player. He's a former Tennessee Titan, So I don't know. I don't know. I think on election night, states that we're not expecting to be watching are states we're going to be watching, and I think the late night we're going to be closely watching the Alaska returns, because if I you and me will do it right now. What's the wild state you think might flip? The wild state I think might flip is Alaska. I think Alaska could flip blue.
Well, the wildest in my mind would be Florida. I don't think any other. I don't think Texas is flipping. I don't think. I think she'll win North Carolina. I have way more confidence in Arizona and Nevada than I think a lot of people do. I have no idea why people have given up on Nevada for her.
I figure, and I will take your word for that because you lived in Arizona. You know what I mean? So you have a better idea.
Well, Arizona's still. I'm less confident about Arizona than I am about Nevada, because I lived in Nevada too. Nevada, but Arizona's kind of a toss up. It depends. It's been trending more blue, so we'll see. And Arizona has the abortion measure on the ballot as well. They have a right to abortion amendment on the ballot. They have 2. So Arizona's 2 are abortion, right to an abortion, and they have the no vote is they're trying to bring back the show me your papers law. So vote for I can't remember the numbers. It's Prop 139 is the abortion one, and then 315 is the show. Anyway, but vote yes on the abortion one and no on the extraordinary crimes at the border bill. But those are the 2 big ones in Arizona. And I think Arizona's trending blue. Nevada, I think, is way more blue than people realize. I don't understand why.
So too.
Nevada is completely just broken down into Clark County and Washoe County. And those are both solidly blue counties. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. I think the only reason people think Nevada might be in play is because of Trump's no tax on tips, which is really just a way of not taxing billionaire bonuses, but they don't know that. But I don't even think that's going to work. And Arizona,
Those people are not. Those people are not voting for Trump just for that, especially since Kamala also has that
also
policy.
said she would do the same, exactly. And I
Yeah.
think what is giving Democrats an advantage in Arizona is Carrie Lake, because
Yes.
her close association with Trump may sour people on Trump because they hate her so much. What's she polling at, like 30-something%
She
right now?
has just dropped through the floor. I mean, Gallego was up by 20 in the last poll.
And that's what I'm
that
saying.
race
So.
just got off the rails because I expected that to be closer too. But Carrie Lake is just she's insane. She's completely insane.
Yeah.
She can't help
Well,
herself.
that's what I'm saying is, like, I think, like, and I've said this forever, like, there's something happening in the electorate that I don't think is being accurately reflected in national polling. But I
Yeah.
think you are seeing it a little bit state by state polling, because Trump allies and people Trump endorses poll very badly in their states when he might be polling better in those states, which seems weird, right? Which is why I think the methodology is fucking weird. Like, I think something is weird going on in the national polling methodology that's like, but it's going to take the election to be over to be able to comb through it and figure it out, like crosstab it and figure it out, you know?
I don't think it's as I think the polls are all wrong. I don't think the polling industry has any idea what the truth is. I think there's entire segments of the population that aren't being polled. I think the numbers are wrong. The averages are being skewed by shady right wing think tanks and polling firms.
Well, it's they're doing this like thing where they're trying to like match the results from 2020, so they weigh the results to be equal. Like, they're like, why are all the polls looking the same as 2020? I'm like, because you're intentionally polling the same way you did in 2020. So, like I said,
that, like poly market stuff or whatever. That's
and on that note, and I have it written here, and I meant to say it. Polymarket is Peter Thiel, remember, and they have him winning like on the bets with like, I don't know, close to 300 electoral votes, and because I don't think Peter Thiel is above shorting the betting market on the election.
Of course
I
not.
think,
Peter Thiel's a scumbag.
Yeah, and this is what, and I think Elon is too. Like, I think the two of them together, I think Elon's pumping his money up behind Trump as an investment to try and trick people into thinking he has the momentum to win, knowing he's not going to win, but they're trying to clean up on the betting markets. They're trying to short the bet.
And Elon is full on collaborating with the use of X to basically just pump out pro-Trump propaganda, which could include, suppressing any poll that comes out. You're not going to see that's favorable for Kamala. You're not going to see that on X.
No,
I don't think it's like I'm not one of these people that's like it's going to be a Kamala blowout. I still think it's going to be close, but I don't think it's as close as people think. I think these polls are whacked. They're totally whacked.
I don't think it's going to be as close as people think. I don't know if I would go so far as to say landslide blowout, but it will feel like that considering how close everyone thinks it's going to be. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
And
but to answer your original question, like if Florida flips blue, that would be the most surprising thing for me.
Yeah.
I don't.
Well, I kind of expect.
But I trust you.
That,
and the abortion thing is huge for sure.
So I don't know.
And then the villages. The villages.
Well, yeah,
watch the villages.
Watch the villages, right? Because I still think like Trump will probably carry both Lake and Marion County, and like the villages cover like both of those counties to a certain degree. But I think the margins in those counties will be really interesting to watch. Because usually they would be blowout Republicans, and even if Republicans win, if they only win by like 5 points, then that's a telling sign that the Republicans are not as in control of Florida as they seem to think they are. Because I think Florida is their backup plan, because they know, as we all do, they've been watching Texas just like we have for the past 10 years. And even though it's still a red state, it went from this red to this red to this red to this red to this red.
Now Cruz is on the verge.
So if they're hoping that Florida will become their solid Republican state if Texas is switching to a swing state. That's what they're counting on. But if you end up with a situation where both Florida and Texas become swing states,
that's trouble for
trouble for Republicans. Yeah,
Michigan will probably go blue. We know Minnesota is going to go blue. Wisconsin. So
Wisconsin, I think
North Carolina goes blue too.
I think North Carolina goes blue. I think, truthfully, like all the attention's on Pennsylvania, but I think Wisconsin will be closer than Pennsylvania.
Interesting.
I think Pennsylvania is an easy win for Kamala, truthfully, but I think if any of the blue wall states were to flip, it would be Wisconsin. Because you got to remember, Wisconsin is still the state that gave us both Scott Walker and Paul Ryan. It's a weird state. Like, it's as right as it is left. It kind of swings. Like, Wisconsin does these kind of things. It's like, no. Like, they had a legit socialist elected once, and then they had fucking Scott Walker elected. So Wisconsin is...
I know. Yeah. For a long time, Wisconsin was like a liberal bastion, and all of a sudden it became,
And then it went into Scott Walker land, and like, so it's just like Wisconsin's one of those wacky states. So I'm saying if anything was to flip, that's what I like. If I had to pick which between Pennsylvania and Wisconsin I thought would be closer, I think it'll be Wisconsin. I still think she'll carry both, but I just especially because Pennsylvania doesn't have early voting, like they don't know who the votes are for, but they know registrations that are coming back.
Yeah.
And that was favoring Democrats. It was closer than it was in, say, like Georgia. Like, the Georgia returns are fucking nuts. I don't know if you've seen the Georgia returns, but so this will be
gonna
fun.
Be crazy too. I don't know, man. Like, Georgia's hyped. Georgia's getting out, and in the early voting, the numbers are incredible. We had Jimmy Carter vote. Jimmy Carter got to fulfill one of his last wishes that he told his family over the summer, that he wanted to live long enough to cast his vote for Kamala Harris. Early voting in Georgia began this week, and news came out that he did in fact mail in his ballot. So if Jimmy Carter can vote, so can you lazy bastards.
I used that exact same line with my kids this week. So, like, we started our unit on, like, voting behavior, campaigns, and elections, which I think I am delightful for planning perfectly. Like, I was supposed to start it a week ago, but, there was a hurricane, which delayed us a little bit. But so I went through with that, and I literally told them about Jimmy Carter. And I was like, I don't care who you are or what you believe. This is funny. Can you imagine being 100 years old and dying of brain cancer and being like, the last thing I'm doing is voting against this motherfucker, right? Like, a skeleton crawling to the polls. I do. Here's my ballot. And then I told him, I'm like, and you don't understand, this is like one of those purely good humans on the planet. Like, I told them all about him, right? Like, he was a pastor and a peanut farmer and a whatever, and he founded Habitat for Humanity, and with brain cancer, like, nailing boards together. And like, and his last act on this earth is fuck Trump.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably the first black woman thing too, but
no, it is
definitely
100%.
Fuck Trump.
But like, that's what I'm saying. Like, even in the soul of Jimmy Carter, I want to think that there's a little sliver of fuck that guy, especially considering that like how he was treated by the Republican Party and what they did to him, and like seeing the criminality of Donald Trump and knowing that it started with Reagan and him losing his, like, there's some sweet justice in Jimmy Carter.
It's kind of cool.
And karma is a cat.
Well, now we just got to pull out. I honestly didn't think this is morbid, and I'm sorry, but I honestly literally wrote his obituary, because I wrote it for Midas a year ago.
Well, yeah, you have to have it ready to go. As
soon as he sort of started slipping in hospice care, I penned a obituary, because we thought he was going to go any day. That was a year ago, so I
thought within days of Rosalind passing, but no, he's still hanging on.
And then there was Rosalind passing, and then he still made it. So now he's made it to this, which is like, almost a year after Rosalind passing, and it's like,
like, this man's been in hospice for 9 months, y'all. Like, Jimmy Carter is like not human at this
Going
point.
into hospice usually means you're on death's door, and like,
he like refused cancer treatment 9 months ago and went home to die peacefully, and he's like, I'm just still chilling, I'm doing great.
So he's voted. Let's pull it. Let's cheer for him to survive to.
I wanted to see the results.
If Kamala wins or not, that would be amazing. That's good.
You know what would be weird, and this is going to sound morbid too, right? But I don't want to do this. But you want to know what could actually happen that would take the wind out of Donald Trump's sails trying to contest the election when he loses it? Is if like Kamala Harris wins the election, and then like November 9th, Jimmy Carter dies. So then all of the news coverage will be honoring the beloved Jimmy Carter and the presidential funeral and all of that stuff. And nobody's going to give a shit about his stupid ass law.
What I want to see is Kamala win Georgia by 1 vote. I think that.
Oh my God, can you imagine? But that would go to so many recounts. He'd have to hang on until December,
Well, there's going to be recounts anyway. If Trump can survive to even do recounts, I don't know.
He looks rough, man. Like, you want to talk about
he almost looks as bad as Jimmy walking around like The Walking Dead.
I think Jimmy probably looks better, honestly.
So go, Jimmy. That was best. That was the best thing. So this Kamala interview on Fox News. Kathy's got thoughts. Kathy's got thoughts on this. So I'll give you your initial thoughts, and I'll run through some clips here.
Well, my initial thoughts were like, I almost didn't want to watch it because I figured this is just going to be a hit piece and it's going to be terrible, and I'm going to get mad and I'm going to be upset.
She kind of was.
Well, it was, but also like I couldn't be mad watching it because like, remember when she like questioned Brett Kavanaugh and like had him stuttering, and when she questions Jeff Sessions, she goes, "You make me nervous," right? Like that was her on the the prosecutor Harris. That, remember I said I was initially afraid would like turn off voters, but see, like that's what she did. She treated Bret Baier like a hostile witness, right? In a deposition, and that's what she turned it into. She did not let it become him interviewing her. She turned it very much into, I'm questioning you now as a hostile witness in a pre-trial deposition. And oh my God, like she, and like, oh God, she called him out on his shit. He kept trying to talk over her. She very much, and that's what I'm saying, like women watching Fox News, watch that. I think we're like it, wanting to defend her like in real time, because we all know that feeling of being talked over, right? And the way she said, I'm not finished. I'm not finishing. Are you going to, like, the fact that she used the phrase, are you going to let me answer the question? I fucking love her so much right now.
May I finish responding, please?
But
you have to finish.
You had the White House and the House and the Senate,
and they didn't bring up responding to the point you're raising. Okay. And I'd like to finish.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. I like that. She got him to say, yes, ma'am.
To the point of this being your first question.
Yes, ma'am.
It is a priority for us as a nation and for the American people. And our focus has been on fixing a problem. And from day one, then, we have done a number of things, including to address our asylum system and put more resources, getting more judges, what we needed to do to tighten up penalties and increase penalties for illegal crossings, what we needed to do to deal with points of entry between border entry points. That's the work we did, and we worked on supporting what was a bipartisan effort, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Congress, to actually strengthen the border. That border bill would have put 1,500 more border agents at the border, which is why I believe the Border Patrol agents supported the bill. It would have allowed us to stem the flow of fentanyl coming into the United States, which is a scourge affecting people of every background, every geographic location in our country, killing people. It would have allowed us to put more resources into prosecuting transnational criminal organizations, which I have done as the Attorney General, former Attorney General of a border state.
Madam Vice President, a couple of things.
Prosecuted trafficking of drugs, guns, and human beings. And Donald Trump, but let me just finish.
6 Democrats voted against that bill.
Learned about that bill and told them to kill it because he preferred to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And in this election, this is rightly a discussion.
So, I mean, yeah, he's just, I think he's carrying water for Trump because he was about to get kicked out of the Trump club.
But I also like somewhere like following that clip or somewhere around it, he like puts on the screen, here are the 6 Democrats that voted against it. And I kind of wish she'd have jumped on it to say, well, actually, there are 4 independents and 2 Democrats, sure, right? Because it's like if we're gonna be technical and like if you want to be accurate, because she did at one point like call him out on the inaccuracy of his reporting, right? And I wish she would have said, so if you want to be accurate in your reporting, Brett, that's 4 independents who caucus with the Democrats and 2 Democrats.
If he's as bad as you say, that half of this country.
This is okay. So we're kind of jumping around a bit. This was the kind of the big moment of the night in terms of scandal, because they're talking about how she has called out Trump for saying that Americans, calling Democrats the enemy within. Recently, Trump was saying that he was going to use the military to deal with radical leftists. So this is what they're talking about here, and
is now supporting this person who could be the 47th president of the United States. Why is that happening?
This is an election for president of the United States. It's not supposed to be easy.
I know, but
It's not supposed to be. It is not supposed to be a cakewalk.
So are they misguided, the 50%?
Listen,
are they stupid?
I'd have been like, it's not 50%,
I would
bro.
never say that about the American people. And in fact, if you listen to Donald Trump, if you watch any of his rallies, he's the one who tends to demean and belittle and diminish the American people. He's the one who talks about an enemy within, an enemy within, talking about the American people, suggesting he would turn the American military on the American people.
We asked that question to the former president today. Harris Faulkner had a town hall, and this is how he responded.
I heard about that. They were saying I was like threatening. I'm not threatening anybody. They're
This
the
clip
ones doing the
softens
threatening.
everything.
They do phony investigations. I've been investigated more than Alphonse Capone. He was the greatest gangster. No, it's true. No, but think of it. It's called weaponization of government. It's a terrible thing.
So,
Bret, I'm sorry, and with all due respect, that clip was not what he has been saying about the
Called him out
enemy
for playing the wrong
within
fucking
that he
clip.
has repeated when he's speaking about the American people. That's not what you just showed.
he was asked
No,
about that
no,
specific...
that's not what you just showed. In all fairness and respect to
that was the
you,
question that we asked him.
you didn't show that, and here's the bottom line.
Baier later went on the next day, was on Fox News and admitted that he played that is not the clip he wanted to play. It was the second half of a clip. The longer clip showed Trump talking about the enemy within.
He only admitted that because of what she's about to do to him. Okay, let's be clear. So
He has repeated it many times, and you and I both know that. And you and I both know that he has talked about turning the American military on the American people. He has talked about going after people who are engaged in peaceful protest. He has talked about locking people up because they disagree with him. This is a democracy. And in a democracy, the president of the United States, in the United States of America, should be willing to be able to handle criticism without saying he'd lock people up for doing it. And this is what is at stake, which is why you have someone like the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff saying what Mark Milley has said about Donald Trump being a threat to the United States of America.
He's quoted in the Bob Woodward book that way, yes.
Also, call me mommy.
I like amazing. Like, my favorite part about this is like you can hear her voice echoing in that room. That's how loudly she's speaking, but she's not yelling, right? Like, you know how you can tell like a yell versus like a whatever, but that is a go to your room voice. That is mama love, right? That is a don't fuck with me. That is a closing statement at trial. Like, that was so fucking powerful to me. And I feel like, again, every woman watching that had a like mother moment, right? like loved it.
It was very good. And I think they cut it short, right? I'm not really sure why. They were saying like her people like cut it short because it was clearly like I think from their perspective, it was an ambush interview. Of course
it was. And she had to know, but like to that point, like, and that's what I think is kind of badass about it. And I'll probably win some people over for her is that like, to your point, he's exhausted canceling interviews and like won't do the CNN and he won't do another debate and blah, 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 blah. She went to Fox News, sat down with the simp for Donald Trump for an interview. And the same way she wiped the floor with Donald Trump in the debate, she just wipes the floor with Bret Baier. Like, she's basically showing these men are a complete joke. I'm going to put you down. I'm going to smack you down. I'm going to smack you down. We have a job to do. Go the fuck home. Go to your room. Go to your room. Go to your room. Mama's home. And it's time to get this shit done. It reminds me a little bit of like when I was a kid. Like when I was a kid, when my mom was at work over the summer vacations, my brothers and I, we would get a little bit squirrely and we used to have water wars. Okay. We were my mother's worst nightmare. Like, I'm amazed, like, we survived childhood. She should have killed us for this. But like, you know, like my brother would jokingly walk past and be like, "Oh, I spilled water on you." So like my other brother would be like, "Oh, I spilled water on you." And before you know it, the house is drenched and we're all like, just like water gunning each other in the living room. Right. And I'll never forget, my mom comes home one day and the house is fucking wrecked. Right. We had destroyed this house. It was soaked. Like my brother had taken a Lego bucket of water and dumped it on my other brother's bed. Like, it was so bad. Like, this is just kids left with way too much time on their hands and not enough supervision. And like the way she was like yelling at Bret Baier in that moment, like the way she's like elevated her voice, but she's not yelling. I heard that and I was 8 years old and sitting in the living room like, "I'm sorry, Mom. I'm sorry, Mom." And I was just waiting for the next line to be, "Wait till your father comes home."
Bret Baier has been drifting into sanity, and I think it was a play to sort of get his seat back at the table at the Trump cult.
Maybe, I don't know, but he did not do a good job, and woof, woof, woof. It was bad news for them, but it was great for Kamala. It's like we didn't get a second debate, but we got that, and I'll take it. Like,
I don't know how people could say. I mean, it's just pure bias. I don't know how people could say she didn't do a good job. I mean, it was clearly an ambush interview. She was interrupted the entire time, and
she still killed it.
She still killed it. And then there was this shutting down hecklers at this rally, and these were.
Oh, you guys are at the wrong rally.
This is in Wisconsin.
No, I think you meant to go to the smaller one down the street.
This is a good one. She's like, come on.
I love that. Like, you want the empty one down the hall.
And those were MAGA hecklers. We're so used to them getting heckled by like pro-Palestinian people, but that was.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you're at the wrong rally.
When she started talking about Roe v. Wade, and they were like, "You're lying." Blah, blah, blah.
I love that. You want the smaller one down the street. That stings. That stings. Like Donald Trump took that personally, and it.
Well, what's
that's
going
all
viral?
He cares about.
What's going viral right now is that at some point in that kerfuffle, someone screamed out, "Jesus is Lord." And so now everyone on the right is being like, she threw them out because somebody said Jesus is Lord with like selectively edited clips and stuff. So
of course,
of
course, that's what they're going to say.
Because 2 weeks before the election, Kamala Harris is going to reveal that she hates Christians. Never revealed it before in her 50-year career, but all of a sudden.
Or her life as a Christian woman. You know what I'm saying? Fine, whatever.
Yeah. Trump has officially gone bye-bye, Cathy. He has lost it. This is kind of the main story. Oh my God. He's, like we said, he canceled a speech with the NRA. He canceled a CNBC appearance. He's shutting down. He's kind of winding down his campaign. His staff came out with a statement that says he's suffering from exhaustion. So, I mean, which is fine. I mean, he is 78 years old and he's been campaigning a lot. Like,
but the shit he talked about Joe Biden, like the nerve,
Like I have seen what campaigning, so have you, what campaigning does to people who are younger than that, much younger, and it is hard and it is very exhausting.
Yeah, I was 24 and it kicked my ass.
It is very exhausting, but after you've built your last 4 years basically developing your political persona as the strong candidate and Biden as a sleepy old man, it does sort of bite him in the ass a little
Joe
bit.
Biden's out riding his bike and you're taking the afternoon off because you're sleepy.
So I don't know. I buy that he could actually be exhausted. He could actually be losing his fucking mind like he did the other day when he was at a town hall. He took 4 questions and then it turned into a little concert. Did you see the clip of that?
Fine. I saw the clip of him just jamming by himself and white man dancing.
So like a few people fainted in the crowd, which they always do because he's too fucking cheap to pay for air conditioned venues. So it's too hot. People are passing out. They always have to get medical, and people pass out at every single one of his rallies. Somebody passes out because they've also been standing there waiting for him to come out for 3-4 hours. So he finally gets fed up and he's like, does anyone else want to faint right now? Let's just get that out of the way now. Like, that's how he talks to his people.
He said that?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh
when
God.
The last person fainted, he's like, raise your hand if you have to faint. We'll just get that out of the way.
Oh my God.
And so then he's like, then he just calls for music to be played. And they start playing. He's like, let's listen to one of my favorite songs. And it's Ave Maria. Like,
the Catholic hymn.
Yeah, the Catholic hymn. Not even like Andrea Bocelli or anything. It was literally just the Catholic hymn of Ave Maria. And then he was like, they played the wrong one, I guess. They played the one that was just instrumental. And then he had to play it again. He had to play Ave Maria again, this time with lyrics. And then he had them play Andrea Bocelli's Time to Say Goodbye. So like and which could not be a more aptly named
I know, right? I was
song for
make
that moment.
point.
What was happening on that stage, and he's just like literally just swaying to the music and like conducting with his hands. And then it continued for 40 more minutes. He went through multiple tracks. He played Elvis. He played Leonard Cohen. He played Sinead O'Connor. He played Guns N' Roses. He just kept going. They just kept playing songs.
Hang on a second. Sinead O'Connor, like I understand she's dead and all that, but can you imagine how pissed off she would be if Donald Trump...
Well, her family was pissed.
I bet.
He's tried to play Nothing Compares to You a lot. They have told him to stop. I guess Sinead O'Connor once called Donald Trump the devil.
And she also like famously tore up a picture of Pope John Paul II on television because his support. Like, she's not going to tell. Oh God. Okay, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I just worked.
Sinead O'Connor, if anyone knows of the history, was abused, molested when she was younger, and she had a problem with pedophiles, and that's why she left the Catholic Church. That I'm pretty sure she would have a problem with Donald Trump as well. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But yeah, she did. He did again play "Nothing Compares to You" by Sinead O'Connor, and then he walked out mercifully. 40 minutes later,
it really went on for 40 minutes. I heard that, but I thought it was like an exaggeration.
He was literally on for about 39 minutes. At one point, he took another question. He stopped the music to like, okay, let's get back into some questions. And then somebody asked a question, and then he just went right back into the music. At one point, he was mouthing. At one point, he got caught mouthing the words "Nobody is leaving," and then he said into the microphone, "Nobody's leaving. Why isn't anybody leaving? All right, we'll just keep the music going then." And then he mercifully walked off stage at 39 minutes. After 39 minutes of this, to "Memory" from the musical Cats, which was another aptly named song for what was going on. Piled out. Lots of people, confused, didn't know what the fuck just happened. Puppy killer Kristi Noem, Governor Kristi Noem, was on stage with him pretty much the entire time, alternating between concerned, horrified, embarrassed, and then also trying to stay in character as supportive of Donald Trump's little concert. Someone on the host of the Daily Show said it was Trump was lucky she just didn't put him down because given her history.
You're annoying. Let's go meet Cricket.
Go meet Cricket.
There was that one, but there was also, I don't know if you saw the Telemundo or was it our television? Was it television? Univision. Yeah. I say I put those names together in my brain because I'm tired.
Television.
But like that town hall was fucking wild. Like a guy who asked a question via translator, and his answer was, "These people don't even speak English." Like, I was like, the guy whose question you're answering. I was lost. Like, can you imagine having to interpret the answer to somebody who doesn't speak English to know the answer is these people don't even speak English, so they don't deserve to be here.
Pretty bad stuff. Can you Imagine Joe Biden standing on stage for 40 minutes just swaying to music and not taking questions at a town hall.
That would be all anybody talked about for a week. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, the media is so fucking like criminally negligent in how they cover Donald Trump.
You would not be. They would be. There would be 25th Amendment calls. People would be. It would. You wouldn't. It would be everything. They would still be talking about it. It would still be dominating. That's all you would see. Would be that clip of Biden swaying on stage. Still, weeks later. A week later, they they covered it the morning after, and it was like, what's going on with Trump? AP had a monstrous headline where it was like, AP's headline was like, Trump's town hall turns into an impromptu concert after medical issues. And it's like, what? Like, we've literally had to invent the term sanewashing for this campaign because the media keeps going out of their fucking way to find excuses for this guy when they would not they would not come anywhere near to, the level of patience they've had with him that what they would have with Biden or even Kamala. Can you imagine if Kamala
anybody else? There's nobody else they would have put up with this for. Nobody. Like, Obama wore a tan suit and Fox lost its mind, right? Like, it's like the post-election autopsy of the role of the media in the Trump era, I think, in general. Like, perhaps you and I should write a book about it because it's going to be, it's crazy. But to the original point of this whole segment about him kind of being exhausted and done kind of campaigning, Do you remember in 2004, after the Swift boat ads came out and John Kerry basically clocked out, like he was like just kind of defeated and he didn't really campaign anymore? Because
vaguely, I think I blocked that election out of my mind.
That's fair. But I only know about it because I teach, because I still teach it, you know.
Yeah.
But after the Swift boat things came out, and for those out there in TV land who don't remember this, it was basically an ad of this group who came out in attack of John Kerry's military record in Vietnam, where he earned a Purple Heart because when he returned from Vietnam, he went and testified before Congress about fucking how atrocious what was happening in Vietnam was, and how the trauma of it was like making even our American soldiers act in brutal ways, right?
Well, he
like,
also
he
would like a Navy Cross or something. He was highly decorated.
And he was trying to speak to the trauma of the war impacting our soldiers, and they took it as you're attacking our soldiers. So that Swift boat ad came out, and I think it just like, because the Vietnam War was traumatizing for him too. There's no doubt about it, right? So, and I think it just like he's actually even spoken about it in years that followed. Like after that, I didn't have it in me to keep going. Like it hurt his heart so much, and he just kind of clocked out. And that was like mid-October. That was October surprise killed his campaign. So I wonder a little bit if this from last week, this indictment that came out, was his Swift boat, right? Because now he's just like, because this is coming out, and now he knows like the first batch of the sealed evidence Judge Chutkan is releasing, and I think on some level he doesn't like he's probably in that like mental panic mode of, because he knows what's in those messages, he knows what's coming out, and I don't think he has the mental fortitude to not obsessively think about that. So if he does any events, he's going to be thinking about that, and his campaign knows the more he talks about that, the worse it is for him. So I think half of it is that he's tired, and the other half is, how about we just hide you so you don't fuck this up for us?
Well, did you see that they released more? It was like a 750 page.
I saw the first batch. I don't know if I saw the second batch.
The second batch has come out, although it's like apparently it was like 80 to 85% redacted, so it's not much.
But like what I did see, and like I said, I've read the entire indictment, and like the evidence coming out, everything in the indictment, like nothing in the evidence coming out isn't mentioned in the indictment. It's just further evidence to support the charges in the indictment.
Right.
But yikes, man. So that's kind of what I think it is. I think he knows he's cooked, you know, and his only plan now is to go ahead and lose and then just plan another insurrection. But he forgets that Sleepy Joe's in charge of the National Guard this time. So I don't think it'll go quite the same way.
Well, he's not the president anymore. You know, Kamala Harris is the vice president. He doesn't have, the checks that he had before to sort of try to influence and overturn the election. He's just like, a private citizen.
I can guarantee you the National Guard will be surrounding the Capitol building on January 6th and probably December 6th or 16th or whatever the hell day is that they certify the votes.
It's going to be nuts. DC's going to be nuts. We're in for a crazy few months, Kathy.
Indeed, we are. But
my question is
plenty of alcohol, I think so.
Well, it was funny the other night the other day we had a meeting of our Democrats Abroad group here in Spain, where I am. A very lively group. We even made it on the local news. The local news, Spanish news, covered us, which I thought was interesting.
Get that clip and we'll include it in the show.
I mean, it's all in Spanish. I can play the clip for people who speak Spanish, but and kind of roughly translate it. But anyway, we were talking about our next meeting is on November 17th. It is our official victory party. So we're waiting for the November 17th. So because we figure it'll take that long to figure out who won the election. And then we were having a quote unquote victory party. If things go well, and basically it's like, all right, what are we going to drink at this party? It's either going to be champagne if things go well, or whiskey if things don't go well.
Well, if it doesn't go well, you guys are at least in Spain.
Well, that was the other half of that. It was like, all right, I love this woman who's in charge of this group. She's so fiery. She's like basically laying out the victory party and what we're going to do. We're going to celebrate all our accomplishments and blah, 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 blah. Everyone is kind of like nervously shifting in the audience. Like, okay, like don't jinx it though. And then she's like, but if things go poorly, that meeting is going to be the first meeting about planning the resistance. I was like, okay, so we are going there,
All right. Love it. Love it.
And I love it because it's like, like if there's any group, it's so interesting being an expat through all this, because if there's any group that's like I feel like we will be the resistance. You know what I mean? The people that aren't in the country are going to be watching this with awe and horror if things go badly on November 5th. And
Well, what's crazy in my experience is like the only people that seem to think this election is going to be close are in America.
Yeah.
Like European media and international media that I've seen seem pretty convinced that Trump is stupid.
I think they just can't. I think they're worried and their brains just, they can't comprehend that it could be close because they still can't believe that Trump is even a thing. Like they cannot even believe that Trump even has a shot anymore.
Because World War II was real to them and it wasn't just stories from granddad, you know?
Like and I'm not going to be one of these people that's like, there's no right wing in Europe. Yes, there is. And there are Trump supporters in Europe.
Hence the 2 world wars I alluded to. Like,
yeah. But they're in the like there is so much in the minority and they're so minimized. The vast majority of Europeans just are so baffled that Trump could even get this close to the White House again. So I think there's a lot of sort of like just sort of naive optimism on their part with that kind of stuff.
Maybe.
But because they are freaked the fuck out. We've talked about that before.
Of course they would. Like I would be too. Yeah. Like if I lived in another country, like I'm worried living in this country. But can you imagine, like knowing that you're not in the country that man could control the military of?
Yeah.
Knowing like the strength, power, and fortitude of the American military, I'd be horrified. Like,
like we said last time, like I sincerely hope that the EU Parliament and Canada and Mexico and Australia and Japan I hope they're meeting. I hope they're figuring something out. I hope they have a contingency.
I would be like, honestly, I would be willing to put money on the fact that like Joe Biden is meeting with them for like some insight into how they could approach the contingency, right? Like, allies, you're allowed to share information. He might be like, look, this is information you may need to have in order to defeat the American military.
What if he's oh my God, blew it like tinfoil hat. What if he's giving these people like the codes to shut down our nuclear weapons? Oh my God. Like, cause he's he's in Europe right now. He's on a farewell tour right now. He was in Germany yesterday. He got the highest, the president of Germany awarded him like their highest honor or whatever. He's in Europe right now meeting with heads of state. So I don't know.
Yeah. So it's like in the last 2 weeks of the election, when everyone's paying attention to Kamala and Trump, he low-key goes to Europe, who's panicked about a potential meanwhile, Hezbollah's trying to like blow up Benjamin Netanyahu. Look, all I'm saying is sometimes I land in conspiracy land. And if you wanted a conspiracy, I think Joe Biden might be giving Europe a heads up onto how to,
I think you might be. This might be one of your tinfoils. That's totally right, Kathy. Because the timing of this, and they're billing it as like Biden's farewell tour, but it's kind of like
which you would normally do in the lame duck, like the
he could do it in the lame duck section.
But like he's technically a lame duck, we know, but like it's not the technical lame duck. Like this would be his like November.
He could do it. Yeah, I mean, he could do it in December. You know what I mean? Like when he's done, he's on his way out.
Yeah. But
instead it's 2 weeks before the election and he's meeting with all these European heads of state
in the immediate aftermath of Sinwar being killed too. So come on. So it could be a little bit like, look, this is what I need you to do to get Bibi out. This is what you need to do if Trump goes in. Here is some information. This is the just in case open like burn after reading folder. Kind of,
well, and also plans on smuggling Americans out of the country, like high value Americans that need to get the fuck out because Trump could have them off. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. Like like intelligence services, how they're going to operate within the U.S. to like rescue people and stuff like that. I mean, this shit is real.
Yeah, like he could be actually lining up asylum deals with countries willing to take like Americans.
Yeah.
Which
is
horrifying on one level.
Underground railroad pipeline stuff, getting people out.
Yeah, exactly.
Prepping to get LGBTQ people out, like all that kind of stuff. It's just
So I'm a little bit like, I don't know, curious how that'll all play out, but I'm also very confident. Like maybe because I share the European, I can't fucking believe anybody would support Donald Trump.
I do too.
But I just think that like, I don't think it's going to be as close as everyone thinks it is. I'm not quite confident enough to say it'll be a landslide, but I don't think it'll be as close as the media wants us to think it is. I think they want us to think it's close to keep us motivated to vote. I think perhaps maybe, but
well, the media wants to keep it close so that they have ratings.
Well, that too, I was trying to not be a cynical bitch. All right. Give me
You are a cynical bitch, but your hair looks good. Fair. So
thank you. Now that I covered up the gray, it'll be fine.
Yeah. So that's the last thing though. Is just on JD Vance. Like, what are your thoughts on? So let's do some like tinfoil on JD Vance. So JD Vance has already reinvented his character, as you guys were talking about on the Ryan
again for the
segment.
18th time. Like,
you know, JD Vance was like a moderate anti-Trump guy. Now he's like a MAGA.
I wouldn't say he
bro.
was ever moderate, but I would say he was anti-Trump. He's always been a little like bro-ish. Like he's
Yeah.
always been like a techno-fascist in the making, but he embraced MAGA fascists for at the the political advantage of it.
I guess that's my question though, Cathy, is like, what's JD Vance and the people, the sort of the people in Congress up to, with all this Trump stuff, with Trump circling the drain? How quickly are we going to get to a 25th Amendment vote here if Trump wins? And we get President JD Vance?
If he wins, they would wait until inauguration and then probably immediately, right? Because
so you think it's immediate? You don't think someone was saying they'll wait a year? But you think it's like day one? He's out.
I mean, maybe day one, maybe day two, maybe they would like, okay, you want my real fucking tinfoil hat? Like, how tinfoil hatty do you want me to go?
God damn it! I have told you I want all the tin in the foil.
I think they're the ones trying to kill him, and they will successfully do so when he's elected. Like I don't want to go full Manchurian candidate here, but I think like his inauguration speech, bullet to the head, is the plan.
I mean, that's a good way to start a civil war. I mean,
oh golly, I can't imagine. Speech. Well, yeah, because like to implement Project 2025, they a little bit have to, Insurrection Act, right? So what better way to evoke the Insurrection Act than the president-elect was just murdered 10 minutes after getting sworn in, right? So evoke the Insurrection Act, swear in JD Vance, and usher in Project 2020.
Maybe I mean, I would buy that as a motive. I think the people trying to kill Trump are Iran. They've said as much. Trump is even asking for military protection now. They know even more than we know. I think if Trump gets killed in this, if Trump actually gets killed, chances are it was someone working for Iran, because they've basically issued like a holy war against Donald Trump at this point.
Well, he assassinated their general, and they would have probably gone after him sooner if not for the pandemic.
They've basically said as much as like president or not, they are going to get Donald Trump.
Oh darn.
But you can't but they're not. It's it's not going to be some dude in an Iranian army, uniform that shoots Donald Trump. It's going to be some cuckoo whack job like we've seen so far. So I mean, the way they're going to spin it is it was some radical leftist and that came after Trump, and that's how they're going to institute the.
Except if they pull it off, like Iran, like if Donald Trump ends up dead, Iran's going to claim credit.
You think so? You think if it's like a pure assassination, they'll take credit for it?
Because
even if that risks like all-out war kind of thing. I mean,
first of all, I don't think it would. Like, do you think
maybe
you would be able to sell war with Iran over Donald Trump? Like to the MAGAs, sure, but that's honestly 20% of Americans who are like that gung-ho against him.
Depends on the manner. If he's poisoned and dies in his sleep in Mar-a-Lago, I don't think so. But if he's literally like shot in the head during his inauguration speech, and like,
well, I guess that's fair.
Anybody else in the crowd gets hit, or what I mean? Like, it depends on how it goes down.
What if it's like Russia trying to kill him? Because Russia and Iran are not exactly enemies with each other.
No, Russia and I keep trying to remind people that Russia and Iran are allies.
I know, and that's what I'm saying. And like maybe Vladimir Putin knows that Donald Trump is damaged goods at this point. So like. Maybe. Iran's pissed about the general. Putin, he's not above turning on people and like, I've got what I need out of you. Okay, whatever. That's definitely a Putin jam, right? And like, what if all of the like little lethargy and like the weird like brain, whatever, what if they've been slowly poisoning him this whole time? Like the Russians love poisoning people, and they love putting people like moles in campaigns. And Donald Trump would be happy to accept a Putin advisor who might just be like spiking his Diet Cokes.
Is that where his IBS is coming from? The Midas team is completely convinced that Trump just keeps pooping his pants. Ben even thought that the town hall was just like he wanted to get everybody out of the room because he didn't want to turn around and have everybody just see that he pooped his pants on stage.
Maybe. I saw that they put a puppy pad under him on his Fox interview, which I thought was pretty funny.
You do realize that this podcast is just going to turn into like conspiracy theory. We're gonna get on conspiracy theory podcast.
You know, we preface everything as conspiracy. I'm not telling you this is true. I'm saying if something wild was happening, this is the wild thing I think could happen. But
I really do want to know though, like conspiracy theory aside, do you think that Trump is legitimately headed for a 25th Amendment if he's elected? And do you think that they're already prepping for that? Like JD Vance is prepping for that?
100%. I think that was the point all along. I think the reason Peter Thiel and all of them pushed JD Vance is because they know Donald Trump is kind of wasting away and they want somebody who will in fact implement like the things they want. And like Donald Trump would do it just because if you say nice things to him, he'll do what you want, right? Not every Republican is like that, but JD Vance is also say nice things to me and I'll do what you want, because they're both fueled by the same like kind of insecure mommy daddy issues. Like, please validate and love me.
They both
more eyeliner than me. I know. Like they both wear more makeup than I do. And I at least know how to blend. Like, what was it? Somebody, like I saw something like just this morning and I couldn't like find it again. Like, you know, you do that thing with your phone where you hit a button and then it's gone.
Yeah.
But it was something like Donald Trump said that somebody criticizing his makeup crossed a red line, or Kamala commenting on his makeup crossed a red line or something. I was like, that's the red line. That's the red line. I was like, first of all, it's an orange line and it's a very distinct one. And second of all, that's the point of no return, commenting on your makeup. Oh boy.
Yeah. Back to conspiracy. Did you know that it came out this week that and this may be related to Trump too. It came out this week that Kim Jong-un, he has people that follow him around and collect his poo. Like he will not leave his poo behind anywhere. And something like that came out a couple years ago about Putin too. Like there's a team of people that go around and collect his fecal matter every time he takes a shit, because they don't want, there's a theory that people could basically sift through their poo to check for like whatever disease they have, and it could be exploited. Like this is the level of like the paranoia that these guys have, and it's sort of you know, flash over to Trump on his little pee pad on the couch there. But
here's the question I have on that one, because we know these countries are like dictatorial in nature, which means people are like assigned jobs more than they apply for jobs.
How do I sign up for that job?
Like, who the fuck got so mad at these people that assigned them the job of literal get my shit? Like wowzers, thousands.
You think you have a crap job?
Yeah. See what you did there.
Yeah. So yeah, it's crazy. So anyway, it's crunch time. We got another show this week coming out. Cathy, do you want to tee that up a little bit? Talk about that.
Yeah. A couple weeks ago, actually, I did the interview, but you know, hurricanes and all of that, getting you know, whatever's. But one of my former students, Dylan Hellebrand, he is working on the Maxwell Frost campaign. He's an intern for them, and was a delegate to the DNC convention.
So rad.
We had we had talked about this interview like a month ago, but you know, timing and getting it all sorted out was hard. But that should be coming this week.
Yeah, we're gonna have a 2-episode kind of week. So stick around that. We got more stuff coming up on Patreon too. We got more exclusive conversations with our insider Ryan. So check that out. More pre-show content as well. Check that out on Patreon, patreon.com/justbuylesscoffee. If you want to see the video content, head on over to YouTube, youtube.com/justbuylesscoffee. Cathy's having an asthma attack, I think. So we're just gonna make
not
sure
that
she's
bad
okay.
yet, but it's gonna get there in a minute.
Okay.
I'll be fine.
Check out the video content on YouTube. Download the episode first, though. Download the episode wherever you're listening, on Apple, Google, Spotify. Download the episode to your local device. Then head over to YouTube and watch the video content so you can see our pretty faces, Cathy's glasses, and the new coloring she's got in her hair. It looks good. But yeah, thanks everybody for a great conversation today. Cathy, are you gonna survive the?
Yeah. I'm okay. I have to watch Liverpool soon, so
there you
that's
go.
what's important. Liverpool, Chelsea, come on, let's go. Top of the league.
Thank you to Jimmy Carter for your life of service and
yes, thank you,
fulfilling
Jimmy
that one last wish.
Allison's out with a hamstring.
Oh, no. Thank you, Cathy, for a great conversation. And we will see everybody next time. You've been listening to Just Buy Less Coffee, answering the deeper questions of American politics, featuring Troy Matthews at Keep Troy Blue and Cathy Cannon at Cannon's Fodder. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Threads, and X. All opinions are our own.